Hi guys, and welcome back. This is our first installment in Learn to Crochet with Froggy Day. So today we are going to talk about yarn. We're going to go over the basic yarns that you can get at a big box store like Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart. I do have one yarn that you can get through an LYS, which is a local yarn store, but you can also get it through Premier. I'm going to show you each size yarn that is available that I have. We're going to learn how to look at the yarn label, what the content is, what size it is, the symbols, and all that good stuff. So we will start with Crafter's Secret, which is a number 4 weight yarn. This is your typical acrylic yarn. This particular brand is sold at Hobby Lobby. This is their brand. It is a lot bigger skein, but I've used some of it in another project. This yarn is something that would typically be used in afghans, scarves, hats, that kind of thing. It is 100% acrylic, which I will show you all that here in a minute. You can use it for garments. It's not really ideal against your skin, but it is suitable, if that makes any sense. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you get some yarn is you'll see all this mumbo jumbo on it, okay? First, you will have a lot number, and what that means is that every yarn is dyed in a lot, a big amount. So there may be a slight color difference if you get something that's done in a different lot. So if that doesn't matter to you, that's fine. If it does, and say you want 4 of these, then you'll want to look for something that has that same lot number, okay? Then typically you will have the name of the color. This particular color is called Magnolia Way. Okay. From there, the next information that you look at is this little symbol right here. And what that means is this is a number 4 medium weight yarn, which is, like I said, the most typical yarn for afghans, hats, scarves, that kind of thing. This is usually your go-to yarn for most projects. So then we have all these other little symbols. What does that mean? Well, this first one right here is for the washing machine. It means that you can wash up to 40 degrees Celsius. Okay? That is 104 degrees in Fahrenheit. So basically, you can wash in hot. I typically do not wash my acrylics in hot water. I normally tend to wash them in cool water, but you can play around with it, decide which way you want to do that. This next symbol is a dryer symbol. That means that you can dry it on normal. So you wouldn't want to do like permanent press, you wouldn't want to do cottons, that kind of thing. You want to do it on your normal drying cycle. You could also do it in like an air cool cycle. I from personal experience, to make my Afghans last longer, I do not put them in the dryer. I do let mine air dry. Again, that is a personal preference. Once you get to making different things, you know, you will find which works best for you. Your next symbol is an iron, and so this is telling you do not iron it, because this is acrylic. Acrylic does have plastic in it. You cannot feel it, but it does have plastic in it, so the heat from the iron will melt this yarn. But any high, let's say dry heat, will melt this yarn. This is not a good yarn for pot holders. It will melt and can cause a fire. So let me just stress that. Do not use an iron or use these to make pot holders. Your next symbol is your bleach symbol, which means do not bleach. And then we have an A with a circle. And your A with the circle means that you can dry clean it with any solvent. Again, I don't think that I would dry clean. Personal opinion. Okay, moving on from there, we see that this is 100% acrylic. Now this up here tells you the exact amount of yarn in each ball. So this particular one is 16 ounces, 453 grams, okay? It's 810 yards or 740 meters. Now, the next thing you look at is the recommended needle size for knitting and crochet hook size for crochet. So this tells us right here that it recommends that you use a 5mm knitting needle, which is a US size 8 or a UK size 6. A 5.5mm crochet hook, which is a US size 9 or a UK size 5. Now that is recommended. That doesn't mean that that is the hook you have to use. It is recommended, okay? So if you come up right here a little bit further, you've got these little boxes. And what this little box is telling you is the gauge that you should get if you work up a sample with this yarn. Typical gauge is 4" by 4" unless you're reading a pattern and the designer of the pattern has set their own gauge. They may say 18 rows and 7 pattern repeats equals 4 inches. So when you're looking at a pattern, you always want to go by that. This is just kind of a guideline of what you're supposed to get with this particular yarn. So for crochet, it says with a US, 5.5, which is a size I crochet hook, you should be getting 12 single crochet across and 15 rows high should give you 4 by 4. Okay, again, that is just a guideline. I highly recommend that if you are just learning how to crochet or you're watching this video as a refresher, that you do gauge swatch. I promise it will save you a lot of time in the long run. There's nothing worse than trying to crochet a sweater or a garment or even an Afghan for that matter, and you go by the size on the pattern, and if you do not get gauge, it's not gonna fit. It could be either way too big or way too small. Another good thing for gauge is you can say, well, you know what? I have determined by this gauge that I'm gonna need 8 of these yarn, this ball of yarn. So that way you can prepare yourself to go ahead and get those, because I swear, been there, done that, ran out of yarn only to find out it has been discontinued and not have enough to finish my project. Yeah. So again, this is the most typically used for Afghans and that kind of thing. This is the size 4. Now, we do have one slightly bigger than that. Now, this is the Bernat blanket yarn. Okay. And this is thicker. It is really, really soft. Now, this one is labeled just a little bit different. But it has the same concept. Here we see that it is a super bulky number 6. Our 4x4 gauge for the knitting needles is an 8mm or US 11. For the crochet hook is an L hook, which is a number 11 or an 8mm. Okay. 7 crochets and 8 rows is your suggested gauge with the crochet hook, and 8 stitches and 13 rows is the suggested gauge with the knitting needles. Now, we've got a little bit of a different symbol over here. This washer and dryer here has some lines under it. So this means wash on delicate. Okay. So we're washing on delicate. Do not bleach. We are drying on gentle cycle. No iron. And do not dry clean. Now, this particular yarn is 100% polyester. This is a 10.5 ounce ball or 300 grams, and it is 220 yards. This yarn, again, is typically used for blankets. Some people use them for amigurumis, which are stuffed crocheted toys or knitted toys. You can use it for baskets. You can use it for rugs. If you were going to do a garment with this type of yarn, it would be very heavy. Again, that is completely up to you, your choice. So this is the number 6 compared to the number 4, if that kind of gives you an idea of the different sizes. Okay. Moving on from there, I've got one smaller than the number 4, and this is a number 3. Now, this particular yarn is the yarn that I bought from a local yarn store. It can also be purchased at Premier under their Universal Yarns tab. This Premier has 2 different divisions. They have yarn that is in your big box stores, and they also have yarn that is in your local yarn stores. So this one is a number 3 weight. So this one is even smaller than the acrylic. So the number 3 is typically a DK weight or a sport weight. It's light. Sport and DK kind of run hand in hand. It just depends on the manufacturer itself. Okay, so here we have our yarn symbol that shows us it is a number 3 and it is a light yarn. 3.5 millimeter crochet or knitting needle, 20 stitches across and 26 rows. Your crochet suggestion with a 4 millimeter crochet hook is 16 stitches and 18 rows. Now, here's our symbols again. And for this one, It's okay to wash on normal. No bleaching. No ironing. And lay flat to dry. So that's how you read a yarn label. I hope you found this informative and are now a little bit more comfortable with the sizing and the different symbols that are on yarn labels. Until our next lesson, we'll see you later. And thanks for stopping by, guys. And have a great day.